All right, I want to say this one more time for the people in the back that can't hear. Never apologize for anything that you say. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this new edition of Breaking Badger News. I am your host, Brian Martinez, because Maximilian Darrett is no longer with us, but much love to Max, whatever it is that you do. I hope that I can be a suitable substitute in the interim. So today I am here with my wife, the Stapler. We're going to be looking at this story that has been making the rounds, and it's not entirely related to men's issues per se, but I think it's important because it is about the culture war, the larger conflict, or at least the one that is more, let's say, in people's awareness. So we're going to be looking at the Rosanne Barr situation that has been exploding on social media and in the mainstream media everywhere. And let's see if we can't look a little bit closer at this to try to make a little bit of sense out of all of the emotions. So you want to tell us a little bit about the facts that's been going on?
Sure. So if you haven't heard, Rosanne Barr's revival show was canceled over a tweet. Rosanne's show has been airing for about 2 months and was gaining popularity. But ABC's entertainment president, Channing Dungey said in a statement that Rosanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values. The tweet, which has since been deleted by Rosanne, read, "Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals VJ." The VJ she was talking about was Valerie Jarrett, who was a senior advisor to Barack Obama throughout his presidency. It's unclear why she tweeted about her.
Yeah, because she took the tweet down, and so it's hard to get all the context. I mean, Rosanne has always been loud and openly critical of, let's say, the far lefties. But not only that exclusively. I mean, you can see that there's she did a Rubin report with Dave Rubin, and she's pretty moderate. Let's put it that way. She's just loud and outspoken. So we don't know why she talked about VJ, but go on.
Yeah, Valerie was born in Iran to American parents. So what's clear from the Rosanne's response to the backlash is she didn't know Valerie Jarrett was African American. And I'll read some of her tweets as she started responding to the offense that she was generating. So first she tweeted, "Islam is not a race, lefties. Islam includes every race of people." Which is
specifically in response to her original tweet where the first half of it is Muslim Brotherhood. So that was the part, that she thought that she was responding to when she was accused of racism.
Then she tweeted, "I honestly thought she was Jewish and Persian, ignorant of me for sure, but I did." She then tweeted, "Truly sorry for making a bad joke about Jarrett's politics and her looks." She tweeted, "I'm not racist, just an idiot who made a bad joke." And then she started really, really doing the public apologetics. Mm-hmm. "Guys, I did something unforgivable, so do not defend me. It was 2 a.m. and I was on Ambien tweeting. It was Memorial Day too. I went too far and do not want it defended. It was egregious." No, I can't say that word. "Indefensible. I made a mistake. I wish I hadn't, but don't defend it, please." And lastly, she said, "I apologize to Valerie Jarrett and to all Americans. I am truly sorry for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks. I should have known better. Forgive me. My jokes were in bad taste."
So some people suspected that the race baiting is actually coming from Rosanne's tweet about George Soros. I'm one of them in a way. I have my suspicions as to what the real reasons that all the blowback came. On May 28th, she tweeted, "Soros's goal, the overthrow of U.S. constitutional republic by buying/backing candidates for total district attorney races who will ignore U.S. law and favor feelings instead, and call everyone who is alarmed by that racist." Ironically, she was called racist. There are rumors that Roseanne's going to be going on Joe Rogan's podcast. This is likely going to come up. That's probably the reason why she's going to be going on. Until then, there's going to be pretty much radio silence. So there's a couple things that I got to get off my chest with this. There is absolutely no evidence that the motivations for Roseanne's tweet are racist. I don't care what her history is. I don't care what people think that what she meant. You're trying to read her mind and tell me that the motivations for her tweeting was racist. And I don't think that there's enough evidence to show that. When I saw who she was talking about, which is, by the way, a person that most people, I guarantee you, had to look up to figure out who she was insulting when she was talking about Valerie Jarrett. I didn't know who Valerie Jarrett was, and I had to look it up because I wanted to figure out whether or not what Roseanne said was like the accusations she got were real, right? So I looked it up and I found out that she worked with Obama at one point, and I thought, okay, that's probably the reason, because the fact is, in my opinion anyway, the left does not protect people because of their race or gender. The left protects people out of a desire for political expediency, because they are the biggest ones that attack people like Candace Owens and Ben Carson and what's the name of the Imam of Peace? I forget his name, but the guy, the Australian guy who criticizes the radical Islam. It doesn't matter if you're female. It doesn't matter that you're black. It doesn't matter that you're Hispanic or that you are a Muslim or whatever. It matters that you don't toe the political line. So I thought that might have been the reason. But then I saw this George Soros tweet too, and I thought, well, it could be for that reason as well. Because the fact is, maybe what she said was offensive to people. But you have to ask yourself, is that something that's worth losing your job over? And remember, Roseanne's not the only person that lost her job. Her co-stars lost their job. There were the staff that worked on the show, the writers, etc. Unless
it's possible for the show to go on without Roseanne, but the show is called Roseanne, so...
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. It's also really convenient that Roseanne, like Last Man Standing, and I mentioned this yesterday, I think it was in the after show. Yeah, it was. Those were two shows that did not toe the leftist line. And I don't want to come across as overly sort of conspiratorial, because I know that there's just not enough information to know for sure. But it seems to me that it also works in the favor of the mainstream media to cancel a show, albeit a popular one, because it politically doesn't line up with what they want. They don't like that show even happened. I remember when they said, oh yeah, Roseanne, the main character, is a Trump supporter. People lost their minds over it. And I think that there is something to that. It just so happens that the woman that has a show that was growing in popularity makes a tweet trying to make a joke. Whether you thought it was in good taste or not doesn't matter, because comedians should have the right to attempt to make the joke, even the ones I disagree with,
like
right?
Kathy Griffin and Trump's severed head.
Yeah, like Kathy Griffin, exactly. Like, again, I wouldn't say that Kathy Griffin should not be allowed to do that. I don't think it's funny, but you know what? That just means it's not for me.
Yeah,
I don't ultimately care.
I feel about the same about Kathy Griffin's severed head thing as this tweet. Like, both of them weren't very funny to me, and I don't really care.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even watch Roseanne's show. But when you see that this is like the kind of, like the witch hunt thing that comes afterwards, it's just, that's the scary part to me.
Yeah.
You know, that's the reason why Stephen Fry says, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I don't, like that, because at some point, okay, they're going to come for you. If you're in entertainment or you're a public figure or whatever, you're not immune. It doesn't matter. You're not immune unless you participate in the outrage Stasi, the fucking SJW Gestapo, and you are looking for people to ruin because they said something you don't like. And it's mainly because you don't believe the way that, that they they say you should.
I tried to look into why Rosanne tweeted at VJ to begin with, because it seems kind of random. And, like, why would you make a joke about her just spontaneously? Like, maybe something triggered her or something. And I couldn't find anything. So if somebody knows something about that, please leave a comment. I'd like to know. But besides that, like, you don't know what Rosanne was thinking. You don't know what she was feeling at the time. Like, there's no way to, like, decide, okay, Rosanne was definitely trying to be racist, trying to offend as many people as possible.
Yeah.
I think it's probable that she was trying to offend people, but if she thought that, oh man, this tweet is going to be so offensive and racist, so I'm going to tweet it even though I have a new TV show, like, I don't think that's probable,
no.
Number one. And number two, like, there really is no way to know that this tweet even is racist. Like, you have to apply it yourself in your own mind.
Yes. Like many of these accusations of racism and sexism and homophobia and Islamophobia, etc., the person making the accusation of bigotry has to actually... They're basically taking a fragmented formula and adding variables to it in order to make it conclude what they believe it should be. And the only way you can do that is to add in your own prejudices to complete the formula. It's the only way. So when I got into it, and I'm still arguing with people on Facebook about it, when I said, I don't see why this is so offensive. I mean, I don't think it's very funny, and I was pretty indifferent towards it, but the amount of outrage that came was so disproportionate to what was actually being stated. I, for the life of me, genuinely could not understand why people are making a big deal out of it. And then people came at me and they were like, you don't think that calling her a monkey or a Planet of the Apes character is offensive? And I was like, well, what if she genuinely looks like a Planet of the Apes character to some, like, just her? You know, like, why do you think that an insult about someone's looks directed at an individual person, how can that possibly be applied to an entire race of people or group unless the person implying that that's what's actually being said is themselves making assumptions about the group? That's the only way that works. And I was trying to, like, let people know, you know, you're the ones making assumptions about what this means, and the only way you can do that is if you apply it to the group.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
To be fair, I think it would have been smarter for Rosanne to go after her politics instead of her looks.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, who wants to live in a world where you fuck up, you made a bad joke, and then you see how many people you offended, you apologize, and then that doesn't mean anything.
No.
Your show gets canceled, you're still lambasted, it's over.
You still lose your job and your reputation and everything else. Like, no matter what. I don't want to live in a world like that. And if anybody should be allowed to cross that line, it should be comedians. I think it's either all okay or none of it's okay, period. Like, there's nothing else. There's nothing to discuss. It's like, on the one hand, you know, I don't want Rosanne to lose her job or get her show canceled. Although, again, you know, ABC's a private company. They can do whatever they want, whatever. But I don't want... I think that the general discussion on speech and expression and intent to hurt needs to grow. Like, we need to change the way we talk about this because... Yes, legally speaking, nobody did anything wrong. But when I look at it culturally, it's worrisome. This isn't a Count Dankula situation. She wasn't arrested or put in prison. But it's not that far off. Like, at what point do these opinions start to creep into legislation of some kind? I know that sounds crazy, but there are people who are asking, you know, hate speech laws are a thing in other parts of the world where we happen to live in a country where that's not a thing, but people just find different ways to ruin you. Yeah. So, you know, it is concerning.
Even huge populations of offended people can really ruin your life, right? Like,
absolutely.
It doesn't need to be government implemented. It could just be people thinking it's okay to just destroy somebody's livelihood because they were offended by something they said. Yeah.
And here's another thing. Valerie Jarrett, I'm sorry, but I looked up who she was, and she does not look black at all. And I didn't want to even... I didn't even want to even make the assumption that when they were saying that there was a racist connotation because Roseanne Barr talked about apes, I didn't want to assume that what they meant was that Valerie was black and therefore Roseanne was comparing her to an ape because she was black. It's sort of like when Milo Yiannopoulos made fun of the actress from Ghostbusters by comparing her to a primate. And people assume that must be racially driven, but she kind of looked like one. I mean, so, like, can you insult a person's looks based on comparing them to monkeys? Well, we haven't had a problem doing that with white people. There was an article that compared, I think it was Wanda Sykes, she compared Donald Trump to an orangutan because they're both orange. Orange! And there were people who compared...
He's orange.
compared George W. Bush to a chimpanzee throughout his whole presidency. And I didn't have a problem with either of those things. Like, go ham if you want to. But then you don't get to then turn around and say that you can't... that the buck stops with non-white people. And originally I thought the buck only stopped with black people. But when I defended that and I said, well, wait, this woman is Iranian. So why is it offensive that...
I don't think she's Iranian.
Well, I know, but that was what I was working from at the time because the information I had was that she was born in Iran. So I thought she was Iranian or Middle Eastern or something. And someone said, well, you know, white people have a history of comparing non-whites and brown people to apes. So he broadened the definition to not just blacks, but basically anyone that's not white has been compared to apes. Well, and he asked me if that was okay. And I said, well... what you're telling me is that specifically it's not okay to compare non-whites to animals, to primates, but it is okay when you do it with white people. And that I have a problem with. It's either all okay or none of it's okay. And frankly, I'd rather that it was all okay. I don't care if I disagree with your politics. I don't care if I disagree with what the joke is, even if I think it's in poor taste. I don't care. You should be free to do it, and I do not want to ruin your life for it. I mean, get over yourselves. You have this, I'm just, you know.
Yeah, I have nothing else really to say except that it's no coincidence that human beings look like apes.
Yeah, right. It's almost like we're related. But apparently, you know, that's a bridge too far. Maybe she should have compared it to dogs. That's
my joke. All human beings are apes.
That's offensive.
I'm
going to Twitter to report you right now. Well, anyway, I don't know, guys. Tell us what you think about this. If there is actual evidence that Roseanne Barr is like motivated by racism to make that tweet, then let me know. But you know, I've heard people say, "Oh, you know, Tom Arnold used to say it about her," and it's not evidence. It's not. Not to me anyway. So, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Let us know if you like that. You know, Stapler and I are doing this. Now that Max Starrett is gone, we'll try to do more of them in this format. Tell us what you think. Please leave a comment and a like and share the video if you want to trigger your friends, because, you know, apparently me asking people to exercise common sense and not get all outraged and butthurt over a situation is evidence that I am a racist. So apparently that's where I am now. That's the box I've been put in, and I have to accept it. Go to your crate, Brian. Go to your crate. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining us on the Breaking Badger News. Until next time, stay yellow